Before we get started today, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started today, given it is a national day of mourning, I want to acknowledge, and I know everybody up here with me wants to acknowledge the passing of President George H.W. Bush, who was, throughout his entire life, he knew nothing but service to his country, in uniform and out of uniform over many, many decades. I say as not just as an American and as a governor, but as a former U.S. ambassador to Germany, I don't think there's any non-German more responsible for the reunification of the Federal Republic of Germany than George Bush in specific. But for all of the above reasons, may he rest in peace, God rest his soul. I think we should have a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. With that, it is my honor to introduce Jana Chernitz, who is with Tri-State Transportation Campaign. Come on up, Jana. Great to have you.
Thank you all for coming to Trenton this afternoon. My name is Jana Chernitz. I am the Deputy Director and the Director of New Jersey Policy for the Tri-State Transportation Campaign. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan transportation advocacy organization focusing our efforts in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. I'm honored to welcome you all here for the press conference about the ongoing efforts by Governor Phil Murphy and his administration as they take on the Herculean task of restoring New Jersey Transit to the national leader in public transportation that it once was. From the start of his campaign to now closing on his first year in office, Governor Murphy has recognized that our state's mass transit system and transportation network are the vehicles that drive New Jersey's economy and improve the quality of life for all of us. New Jersey Transit suffered from years of neglect and underfunding, not only from the Christie administration, but prior administrations as well. The result is one that is unfortunately familiar to every regular rider. Trains and bus delays, breakdowns, cancellations, and overcrowding as more and more people take a public transit system that strains to accommodate them. The hard truth to tell is that, as Rome was not built in a day, New Jersey Transit cannot be fixed in a year. But the groundwork has been laid. It'll require riders' patience and our elected officials' dedication and commitment to the coming years to instill the institutional changes required to turn New Jersey Transit around. As new trains and new service expansion takes time, there are small yet meaningful changes that the commuter can and deserve to feel now. The steps Governor Murphy and his administration The steps Governor Murphy has taken in his first year are the down payment of a comprehensive effort to turn the agency around, completing a comprehensive audit, something that Tri-State has called on and commended the governor for ordering within his first few weeks of office, increasing funding for operations, and racing to meet a deadline on positive train control that looked impossible last January. As longtime advocates for better transit, we are confident that the wheels have been set in motion for meaningful change at the ailing agency. It is up to Governor Murphy and his administration to maintain that momentum. In August, Governor Murphy and NJOT Commissioner Diane Gutierrez-Gichetti and New Jersey Executive Director Kevin Corbett promised to improve communications between New Jersey Transit and its riders. What you will hear today is a roadmap of efforts to be implemented by New Jersey Transit that will inform and improve riders' commutes. And with that said, I would like to turn this back over to Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you, Jana.
Thank you.
Well done. Great job. I also want to say up front, having just helped light the menorah over at the State House, happy Hanukkah to everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Jana Chernitz, for that introduction, and through you to the Tri-State Transportation Campaign for its long-standing and ongoing advocacy for commuters and a thoroughly modern mass transit system. Thank you for that. Thank you all for joining us here again at the Trenton Transit Center. How many times have we done this, Diane? We've been here a few times, Kevin, right? Commissioner of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez-Gichetti, New Jersey Transit Executive Director, Kevin Corbett, and I are here to outline some further actions being taken to improve service and communications throughout this network, that is so vital to nearly 1 million daily riders. It is a particular pleasure to be joined by Senate Transportation Committee Chairman Pat Duignan. Pat, thank you for being here. It is always a pleasure as well to be joined by the union men and women of both the ATU and the TWU who work so hard every day. Thank you, guys and ladies. I also thank Ron Sable of NJ Smart, Doug O'Malley from Environment New Jersey, and Jeff Tittle of the Sierra Club for joining us and for their organization's advocacy for mass transit. From day one, Diane, Kevin, and I have been committed to restoring NJ Transit to the levels expected and deserved by the public, and that commitment has not faded one bit. We knew this was not going to be easy or quick when we dove in, but we have aggressively taken it on. Commuters will find NJ Transit living by a three-word mantra: engage, inform, improve. Again, that's engage, inform, improve. And NJ Transit is working hard to instill these values in every aspect of its service. Our goal is nothing less than a customer-focused agency that engages with riders, listens to them, and thinks like them proactively, keeps them informed, and strives to continually improve service and operations. When this administration came into office, installation of positive train control technology was only 12% complete. I was led to believe, by the way, all this time it was 13%. Apparently it was 12. Under Diane and Kevin's leadership, that number today is, I believe, 95% complete. The end is in sight, a major milestone to having this technology fully implemented by the federal government's December 2020 guideline or deadline. Getting this done will ultimately remove a major cause of delays, of cancellations, of headaches, not to mention improve, obviously, passenger safety. One concern we have heard has been overcrowding along multiple rail lines. We've heard that time and time again. NJ Transit is currently in the process of finalizing a procurement for the purchase of 113 new multi-level rail cars. Again, that's 113 new multi-level rail cars. Some single-level cars have been in service for more than 40 years, and they deserve to be retired. And for bus riders, 182 new 45-foot cruiser buses continue to arrive as part of a 5-year delivery contract. Listening to customers and thinking like one is the mindset behind a new customer experience unit that will connect with customers from the time they enter a station until they arrive at their destination, including monitoring and assessing the conditions customers find on board trains, light rail, and buses, as well as at NJ Transit facilities. This new unit will dovetail with other efforts already underway to improve customer communications, including an upgraded mobile app that provides customized alerts via push notifications. Customers shouldn't have to search for information as to whether their train is on time. That information should find them as fast as possible, and now it will. Customers will also receive timelier onboard information and announcement from NJ Transit crews. This is being achieved through upgraded smartphones. Believe it or not, many train crews are still using flip phones in the year 2018. NJ Transit is continuing its aggressive recruiting efforts to attract additional bus operators and locomotive engineers. So far this year, more than 300 new bus operators have been hired, and more than 5,000 applications for locomotive engineers have been received. 4 new locomotive engineering training classes are currently underway, with 13 engineers anticipated to graduate in May 2019 and 3 additional classes graduating before the end of 2019, and I think that is literally unprecedented in NJ Transit's history. These positions are vital to rebuilding the ranks of trained and certified engineers we need to keep this system running. We are doing everything possible to have real and tangible positive impacts on the lives of commuters who rely on NJ Transit services every day. This is a whole-of-team effort, from us in leadership to the men and women who deliver train, light rail, and bus service every single day. Much of 2018 has been spent reversing years of negligence to simply get us back to par. And we are looking to 2019 as a year when we can move NJ Transit significantly forward. As I said, this has been neither quick nor easy, but we will get there. But we continue every day with Diane's and Kevin's leadership and the partnership of NJ Transit's professional staff and the working men and women every day to improve step by step. To our commuters, I remain committed to getting NJ Transit right, and we will. It is now my pleasure to introduce Transportation Chair and friend, Senator Pat Dognan. Pat?
I'm going to use a word that has not been utilized very often when it comes to New Jersey Transit, and I want to say it to both the commissioner and to the director. They're wondering what that word is. Congratulations. When we met back in the spring and they were saying that they were going to meet the mandate concerning PTC, I got to be honest with you, I didn't believe them. And it has just been a Herculean, you used the word Herculean, a Herculean effort. We are, and this is a great phrase, I hope you all use it, we are finally on the right track. And I just want to congratulate them. There's much work to be done, obviously. Transportation New Jersey is not an amenity. It's a necessity. So many of our residents rely on that, and you are meeting the call, and I'm just proud to be part of it. And obviously, on behalf of the legislature, anything we can do to support, just let us know. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Pat. Well said, man. Well said. And you have been a very staunch partner already, Pat. You and your colleagues in both chambers, and you've been, as you should be. You've been tough. And that's the way it should be, because commuters' lives and experiences are at stake, and we're all in this together. So thank you for that. We have a little bit of weather coming up. The state, you may want to reference that. Diane and I are obsessed with weather matters, but it is my honor to introduce the chair of NJ Transit, the DOT Commissioner, Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you to all those here today and continuing to support us through the process of transforming New Jersey Transit. Today, perhaps more than ever before, we live in an age of information with instantaneous access to almost anything we need to know. The need for information, both timely and accurate, is at the heart of New Jersey Transit's Engage, Inform, Improve initiative being launched today. While so much of what is happening to transform and restore New Jersey Transit is not yet tangible to its customers, it is foundational to the long-term improvements we need. The Engage, Inform, Improve campaign is meant to serve as a strong customer-facing step forward for New Jersey Transit. But please make no mistake, it is only a first step that is meant to set the course for continued improvement. In a few moments, Kevin will expand on the additional steps being taken at New Jersey Transit every day. It is important that our customers know that their voices are heard and incorporated into our decision-making process. We will continue to focus on providing excellence in customer service and giving our customers the experience they deserve. Each day, we are committed to move New Jersey Transit in the right direction. I'd like to thank Senator Dognan for his comments. What we've been able to do, and I count, Governor, I'm sorry, it's 10 months and 11 days because the winter has caused me to count. It has been a Herculean effort, and it could not have been done without Kevin and all of his team at Transit, and they don't often hear those good kinds of comments. So we certainly appreciate that. And the governor, who articulated so well all of the activities that are going on, in addition to our new commuter campaign and information campaign, we're working every day. The goal is for you in 2019 to see a lot more tangible results. Kevin will talk to some of that, and I'm sure, I have no doubt, we will be all together again in the near future. So thank you all for being here and continuing to support us. Kevin? Go, Governor. Governor's
Come back
gonna-
around.
No, Kevin's going to.
Justin, before Kevin comes up, I just want to make sure you know the Crescent on the way to New Orleans is on the platform. I know you were leaving town, so just wanted to make sure you saw that. I can't say enough good things about the professional management of NJ Transit and the work that they have done through very tough circumstances. What they inherited, the deadlines before them, the quite rightful outrage and frustration exhibited on behalf of commuters, getting us to get back to punching weight again. And I've said this many times before, in so many respects, the keys to the economic development in this state are education and infrastructure, and in particular, moving people around. In the densest state in the nation, sitting beside the markets that we sit beside, New York, the largest in the world in the north, Philadelphia, one of the fastest growing in the south, our ability to move people around is essential, an essential ingredient in our economic development. Never mind with Jeff and Doug and others from the environmental interests, if the trains are reliably running safely, on time, the customer experience is a good one. Let's face it, more people will leave their cars at home or not buy one at all and get on an NJ Transit rail and move around that way. And the more we could do that, the better it will be for our environment. Again, we're the densest state in the nation. We can't get that anything other than pass-fail. With that, so Kevin, to you and your team, I can't say enough about the progress so far. Obviously, we got a ways to go. We're not spiking the football today by any means, but it's my honor to introduce NJ Transit Executive Director Kevin Corbett. Kevin?
Governor, thank you, certainly, and I'd also like to thank Commissioner Caschetti, Senator Deignan, and Jana. Her board has improved since I've left, I believe. But as the governor has often said, having someone have your back, I can't tell you with the people I just mentioned how important that is for our team to be able to focus on the mission when you know you have people who have your back. Can't thank them enough. When I arrived at New Jersey Transit, we were much further behind in the areas of infrastructure, procurement, customer experience than even I could have ever imagined. Prime example, as we just touched on, was positive train control, the technology that enhances our automatic braking system. When I came, as the governor said, it was just 12%. And the chances, Senator, you weren't the only one who was taking bets that we weren't going to be able to make it, to have all the equipment implemented and installed by December 31st of this year. And as the governor said, we are at 95% and closing. Internally, we call it Project Seabiscuit. And right now, as we're coming to the finish line, I feel very, very comfortable as being the jockey on the horse. Safety is certainly one of our core values. Many difficult decisions have had to be made regarding service for New Jersey Transit to meet the PTC requirements. And I am pleased, as I said, 95% complete as of November 30th. And as the governor said, stay tuned for, we're not spiking the ball yet, but stay tuned for future news on that. But to put this in perspective, we had to complete 4 years of work in less than 1 year. And we are not finished. We have to complete another 4 years of work over the next 2 years to have PTC fully operational by the federally mandated deadline of December 31st, 2020. Thanks in large part to incredibly hard work and long hours put in by many New Jersey Transit employees and the incredible patience and understanding of our valued customers, I'm confident, very confident, that we'll meet the federally mandated 2020 deadline. To address our current locomotive engineer shortage and improve service reliability for our customers, New Jersey Transit during the last 6 months has been highly successful in our recruiting efforts, receiving more than 5,000 applications for the engineer positions, which our Human Resources Department is busy now processing. We've incentivized current conductors to become engineers, leveraging their existing railroad knowledge to streamline the training program. We've also increased the number of training classes from 1 or so per year to 4 per year to get our roster back to the healthy level where it needs to be to give our customers the service level they deserve. Likewise, we've had similar success in our bus operations. Since January 1st of this year, we've hired more than 300 new bus operators. We've also made improvements to the procurement process. An effective procurement process enables us to lower costs by procuring supplies, services, and contracts at the best price. We've cut the average procurement time by 30% compared to 2017. To enhance the onboard experience for our customers, as the governor alluded to, we are proud to take delivery of 182 new 45-foot cruiser buses this year. And in addition to the onboard comfort and amenities, We are now in the procurement process for the new multi-level rail cars that the governor referred to. These rail cars will have amenities and equipment to reduce the overall age of the fleet and increasing our service reliability and mean distance between breakdowns. We've talked about the importance of communication and have begun already improving communication with our customers. It's critical to distribute timely and accurate information to our customers, particularly when service isn't operating as it's scheduled. It's at those times when customers need real-time information to make informed decisions that best suits their individual needs. To that end, a complete reorganization of our internal communications structure is currently underway. We have consolidated a fractured communication structure and centralized it at our Emergency Operations Center in Maplewood. This promotes better sharing, dissemination of information as quick as possible across the multiple modes of travel. The reorganization also includes expanding communications coverage to communicate service information 24/7, 365 days a year on all digital and social channels. And we are creating, as the governor referred to, a new customer experience unit, which will be responsible for monitoring and assessing all facets of our customers' commute, including PA announcemements, conditions at stations, and on board our vehicles. This unit's sole focus will be the customer experience to promptly identify deficiencies at every point during a typical trip. The unit will direct that corrective action is taken, whether it be need for enhanced station signage or improving station and platform public address announcements. As a result of customer feedback, we have now upgraded the mobile app to allow customers to have customized service alerts sent to their mobile devices via push notification. This will be a feature that many customers have requested, would give the customers real-time information without having to search for an update. In addition to the new alert feature, this release also introduces Google Pay and Apple Pay as new payment options for MyTix customers. This new functionality will be available over a 2-week rollout period beginning today. We're also exploring new methods of getting information to customers. We installed several interactive touchscreen kiosks at select rail and light rail stations as part of a pilot program. These high-tech devices can point customers in the right direction through interactive maps and departure information. We will continue phasing in new smartphones for train crew members, which will not only improve fare collection on board, but will enable the crews to receive more real-time communication so they can make more timely on-board announcements. We continue to work diligently on improving fare collection and increasing fare payment options for our customers. Pilot testing is ongoing on a new cashless payment system for our Access Link customers called Easy Wallet. Customers will be able to pay conveniently, prepay for their rides online, eliminating the need for them to carry cash for extra fares. As I stated many times before, there is no magic wand at our disposal to reverse a decade of inattention, underinvestment overnight. However, while tackling the legacy challenges we have been faced with, we are rebuilding the foundation that positions us to provide the most efficient and reliable service we possibly can for our customers. And as the governor said, these 3 ideals of engage, inform, and improve will be the foundation upon which we can continue to transform New Jersey Transit. Thank you, Governor.
I want to know whether or not we can get a hold of that Easy Wallet app and function for the state's budget discussions. There are certain things where you have to call it as it is, and that would be the progress or lack thereof in positive train control, the allowing over the past decade of the engineering pool to diminish. We inherited that. Shame on decisions that were made before. But I have to tell you, I give particular credit for the fact that these folks have stared in the mirror at themselves, at what they need to do better and can do better. And high on that list was, I don't think any of us thought our communication with customers and commuters was acceptable over the past 10 or 11 months. And I give the team enormous credit for being able to, again, look in the mirror and make some tough calls directed at themselves. So Kevin and Diane, to all of you. I think what we want to do is, and I think folks know this, we want to do on-topic questions now. Then we'll take a short break. I have a short statement I want to read on off-topic matters, and we'll deal with off-topic questions then. Does that sound all right? Did I get that right? Please. Michael. Come on down.
Trying to get to Morristown, waded through two trains that were scheduled to make that run. And these were canceled, but on the information screen
Yeah, I think, Michael, and I'll try not to be too technical because I'm usually taking the train from, Broad Street, to Morristown to go home. The problem is, which is what we're fixing, is that it's computer generated from the rail operations center down at Kearney. And that goes automatically, feeds into the screens that people see outside there with those kind of alerts. And that's where we get a disconnect between what's really happening, because that's based between the signals as the trains go and the directive, so it doesn't match up what's showing up on the screen with what's actually what people are witnessing. And that's where the process we're putting in place now is to make sure that doesn't happen, so that the people who are controlling the trains, it's like flying a plane. The pilot has to focus on flying the plane. For the people in the control center, that's their job to control the trains. But getting that information real time, that's so it matches up, and making sure those screens match what's really happening, that's what this effort is about. That's right. That's where the push notification will be most important. That's going to be the most accurate. Right now, we're still working on that computer, so to get the information right, and I can give you the details later on that, so that the information that's coming out of the control center, the control tower, that automatically feeds to those screens will match what comes out. I can go through the process a little bit more
Importantly,
afterwards.
though, if the push notification were up and running, folks would have been
Yes.
able on the platform to know that, right?
Right, exactly.
Please, Elise.
Too. The second one I can get Anthony, get the exact number. It's not just the number that we're adding. We've added staff thanks to the budget, but it's also consolidating people from other departments that were fragmented throughout the agency, putting them into one department. So headcount-wise, it may be +6, but it's as a unit is going to be significantly larger. As far as the FRA requirement, if you look at Metro North and Amtrak, when if you take, they have the same thing, similar, the smartphone. You just have to make sure that it meets FRA requirements, that, people can't do online gambling or whatever, it's got to be. So we're working with the FRA and obviously labor to make sure that both is functional and, that we have it done right. But we have been beta testing on, the M&E particular, and it's going fairly well.
I would make one other comment on the, Elise, on the head count. Do you know what the head count is? Yep. Up 6 or total 6? Up 6. But I think the point Kevin made is the more relevant one. It's taking a bunch of fractured departments and unifying them, which I think is going to be the big X factor. Please.
One of the complaints that we hear from commuters about the delay announcements and alerts is that they come out late. We hear this complaint from bus commuters a lot, that they see problems happening in the Port Authority bus terminal, sometimes 30 minutes before they see the alert actually show up. It's the point where commuters are now communicating with one another on social media directly before the official announcement comes out. My question is, specifically, what are people going to see that's better than what they're seeing now as far as alerts and advisories go?
You want to address that?
Yeah, sure. Larry, two things. One, you touched on the Port Authority bus terminal. That's different. I'll talk to that in a second. But as far as the alerts, you'll be, say, if you're coming from Trenton and that's your regular line, you really don't care what's going on in the M&E or on the coastline. So you'll be able to get timely information, accurate information being pushed out by alerts. As I said, what's showing up on the screens right now, over the next few weeks, we're working that out to make sure that what happens at the command center is also accurate, matching up to make sure it's consistent with what's coming out on the alerts. As far as the bus terminal, one thing I'd say with social media, there's nothing worse if you're a conductor than not knowing what's going on, and you have to look at somebody's iPhone and see a tweet and try to, hopefully it's accurate, hopefully it's not. A lot of times that information is inaccurate. So the importance of getting information out quickly as possible is paramount before a lot of other misinformation gets out. So that's where having the unified command at our emergency operations center in Maplewood, so the bus people, the rail people can go right, they're all in the same room, as the governor referred to. That cuts down significantly, and we have a social media group that's there that respond right away to any tweets they're getting, or they monitor. You can see it right on the screen. Perhaps, Anthony, we could arrange for people to actually see our operations in Maplewood.
I think that'd be smart.
Yeah.
That'd be smart.
24/7 social media coverage?
Yes, there will be.
Please.
guys discussed the new rail cars and the new cruiser buses. What's the funding source for that equipment? And the second one, is there a bunch of changes made to service, like the Atlantic City line, as a result of positive train control? With it coming close to meeting the deadline, do you have an update on when those service changes could be reversed and go back to normal?
Yeah, sure. One was the, as far as the funding sources, we can give you a breakdown, but basically a combination of federal funding and trust fund funding, state trust fund funding. As far as service restoration, we're not spiking the football yet. There's a lot of things we have to work through with the FRA over the coming weeks. But we are fully expect to make the deadline, so then we have to start looking when we reopen the various services, restoring full service in a timely manner. We have to work with labor, assign crews, and make sure that when we ramp up, that is something that's sustainable as well. So different services will be at different weeks.
So there was a lot of skepticism of the Atlantic City line that we were shutting it, claiming we were going to reopen it and not reopen it. It will be reopened. We don't have a date yet, but we'll get you that as soon as we've got it. Please.
Customer experience unit, can somebody talk about exactly how many people that involves? What are they going to be doing? Are they going to be at stations talking to customers? How's that going to work?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is the actual unit, that we will have housed, and under Anthony Greco over there, and there's 6 dedicated staff, but we're also pulling people from rail ops, bus ops, and I think how it works, you'll see at particularly. It'd be worth actually, as I said, coming out and see the operation in Maplewood. So you'll have someone from rail ops sitting next to someone on the computer console with all the screens, be able to see everything. Station platforms, if they see Broad Street getting crowded, Newark Penn Station getting crowded, they're able to see that visually. And then they're also right next to them, there are a batch of people doing social media, responding. So it's interactive with everyone being there together.
Maybe one more, please.
Kevin, you and the governor and the commissioner all received a letter from the FRA a couple of weeks ago saying that they were concerned that NJ Transit was still at risk of not meeting the December 31st PTC deadline. Can you say unequivocally that you're going to make that deadline?
Yes. We will make it. We have no choice. Maybe one more, please. Poor guy with the microphone. I feel bad.
Okay, thank you. Would you say that, what method would you say was used to actually make these improvements here with Improve, Inform, Engage? Was it like surveys for the customers? Did you speak to these customers directly and ask them what they wanted?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a wide range of thing. Yeah, right. I have one customer here who's very good at texting. He's got my number, unfortunately. Nothing worse than someone who actually uses the system, who's your boss. But aside from him, one I ride that I experience every day. And my train gets annulled. I'm on the platform with a bunch of neighbors. So I mean, you hear it from the station masters. You hear it from the crew. I mean, that's one data point. The other are customer surveys. We had a major improvement this year in our customer survey because we added being able to do the customer survey live on your app. So we had almost double the number of respondents. But I think the listening forums we hold, people may think that they're not substantive. Yeah, right. They really are, and we got a lot of input from people. So
organizations such as what Jana represents, who are not bashful, and we're better because of it. This just in is somebody who tries to take NJ Transit, particularly the rail side of it, more than from time to time. Identifying a problem is not advanced doctoral calculus. Like, my train didn't show up. It was an hour late. The board was wrong. It was so crowded I couldn't turn around. Identifying what the problems are, particularly in communication, has not been historically the challenge. The challenge has been, okay, what are we actually going to do about that? And you've heard today, whether it's new buses, new trains, new apps, new mindset, new organizations that are much more nimble within NJ Transit. We're hoping that combination will lead to a meaningful, different, and better customer experience. Again, we have not gotten to today overnight, and we won't get to nirvana overnight either. We'll have what happened last night that Michael asked about, I hope less frequently. We can't promise perfection. We can't promise undefeated seasons. but there's no question we're in a better place, and we will continue to get to better places going forward. With that, I'd like to thank Kevin, Diane, Jana, Senator Dagnan, Doug, Jeff, the representatives of ATU, TWU, everybody who's out there who cares about NJ Transit and tries to do everything they can to make it better every day. Thank you all for joining us. We'll take a couple minutes break, and I'll come back up with you. Thank you. Thanks, man. So I say I'll take any, see you, Jeff, thank you. I'll take any off-topic questions, but I want to just reiterate a statement that I issued yesterday, and I want to just repeat that statement if I could, please, for a minute. So I watched Katie Brennan's opening statement today or yesterday, and I commend the courage, bravery, and leadership she showed in telling her story. She is right. No one should have to go through an ordeal to have their voices heard. We must stand with survivors of sexual assault, and we must start from a place of believing the accuser. On October 15th, I called for 2 separate internal investigations into exactly how this hire took place and how we can best update our current policies and procedures. I then tasked Attorney General Gurbir Grewal with looking at making New Jersey's criminal justice system the most victim-centered in the country to help ensure that no one has to go through what Katie Brennan has gone through. The policies and procedures that he issued last week will make meaningful changes to how sexual assault victims are treated and how prosecutions are handled in our state. Specifically, and it's important to remind ourselves what the specifics are. Specifically, these policies will expand the role of confidential sexual assault advocates for victims. Secondly, require data reporting and evaluation on sexual assault prosecutions. Thirdly, mandate that law enforcement report sexual assault incidents to county prosecutors within 24 hours. And fourthly, if charges are not pursued, require a supervisor's sign-off and provide victims with an opportunity to meet with the prosecutors to discuss the decision. This is real change to the criminal justice system, change that makes our state among the most victim-centered in the country. By embracing this approach, our law enforcement agencies can encourage more victims to come forward with their stories and seek justice, just as Ms. Brennan is so bravely doing. I am committed to working with Attorney General Grewal and the whole of state government to ensure that New Jersey is a place where justice is the right of every person, and every person is treated with dignity and respect while seeking it. But for a couple of ad libs, that's what I put out yesterday and repeat today. So with that, I'd take any questions you've got. Please. Not only do I maintain it, it is unequivocally the case. It is the truth. I did not know the specifics of what had happened to Katie until I believe October 2nd. So that is a fact. Secondly, when she reached out and mentioned that there was a matter that related to the campaign, it was a natural act for me to forward that to not only my counsel in the governor's office, Matt Placken, but also to John Burkon, who was campaign counsel. That was a fairly natural, easy, logical step for me to take. I will say that I only found out about exactly what happened to her, the awful tragedy to her, which obviously made me sick and continues to this day. And obviously we've put in place some investigations, some processes to try to figure out what the heck happened. Those are not yet concluded, but I'm looking forward to getting their results. I'm sorry? I did not. Please. I can't hear you, sorry. Correct. I don't know, which is why, Matt, I did not know, and it's why we on October 15th put 3 processes in place, one of which is concluded, and I've just referred to that, and I think that was an outstanding effort by the Attorney General. But we've asked former Supreme Court Justice Peter Venero to lead an investigation, bless you, to try to figure out exactly how this hire took place, what happened then and before then. That process is not yet finished, but I'm very much looking forward to it. We also, by the way, put in place a process to figure out, you know, we always talk about how strong we are in our policies and procedures from an EEO standpoint. Frankly, I can't believe we can't be stronger. And we've asked Mamta Patel, our senior EEO officer, to lead a separate process. And I hope to get the results of both of these sooner than later. Please. Back row prerogative. I have no idea. I mean, this is, you know, we have, both my wife and I have people pre-campaign, campaign, transition in government. I think I mentioned this on October 15th when we talked about this, who come to us all the time to want to be with us, to raise something one form or another. That happens literally all the time. And I'm reminded by my senior staff regularly that there are professionals and policies in place to handle situations. And by the way, you get a much more even result when you adhere to those policies and professionals. And that's a typical reality in my life. That's something, if you hang around me to say, I think I wrote hang in, we're on it. Those are words I use in lots of different interactions. As I said, I almost immediately, I don't know what the timing was, I believe it was virtually immediately, forwarded it to both my general counsel and the campaign's counsel. Please, I gazumped you a minute ago, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals, but there's some notion out there in some quarters, which I just want to address head on, that we're not cooperating. That is completely 1,000% false. I'm not going to say to you all publicly what is not the case privately, and that is that we respect the process that the legislators have put in place. We have to call balls and strikes, and it must be solutions focused and not political, and as long as it is, count us in. Secondly, it's got to be a whole of government approach, not just one piece of government. And thirdly, it's got to be what we are passionate about, and that is survivor-centric. So as long as it's solutions-focused, whole of government, and as we are survivor-centric, you should assume that they will have extraordinary cooperation, as they have had already and will continue. Dustin? No, certainly not an email, but I did have a conversation with someone, and I'm forgetting who, that was a generic, listen, Murph, we reminded you before that you have lots of people who want to have a particular discussion with you, sit down with you or your wife, whatever it might be. Repeating what I said a minute ago, we have professionals and policies that are in place to handle situations. Please let the professionals do their work. Please. Yeah, I will say the minute I understood what happened to her on October 2nd, my heart broke, I got sick to my stomach, and I feel awful to this moment about it. And I think she was extraordinary yesterday, by the way. I watched every word of her testimony. I did not watch I could not watch the Q&A part of it, but obviously read a lot of what you all wrote and heard a lot about it. I thought she was extraordinary and incredibly poised, given what she's gone through and what she had to tell. I have to assume that when other folks found out about this in the rearview mirror, they were adhering to their legal and they were doing, adhering to the obligations that they felt they had based on the rules that are written in government. I can't dispute, I've got no basis of disputing that, but it is a big reason why we're doing two things. One is, even if they were adhering properly to those ethical and legal obligations, it can't be that this woman could have gone on this long for these many months and not have had her story heard and believed. So those, I question whether or not those obligations and the rules of the road and policies in government are the right ones, and that's why we are reviewing them from top to bottom. And secondly, so that's a general comment, and specifically, how did this happen? We have to figure out how this poor woman was driven to have to tell her story to a news organization because nobody else would listen. That we cannot tolerate that. We can't see that movie again. Matt, before you go, I just want to see if anyone else that has not asked yet. No, Matt, nothing personal. Actually, you're both Matt. I apologize. That's another myth that's out there. Peter Venero's scope of his investigation has been, as far as I know, wide open. And one of the things I'm most proud of, which is why I have confidence in that process, is that there are no limitations been put on him by me or by anybody. Period. Now, we don't have, his work is not done yet, and I'm looking forward to both seeing his work, figuring out how the heck this happened, and also how we can get better inside of government. You know, I'll give you one example. It just is a bone in my throat. I just can't, because apparently because this incident took place before either of them were state government employees. It was not within the purview of what we could do in state government. That can't be. That can't stand. That has to be on a list of things that we are not just reviewing, but changing. One more, Matt. So my reaction is what I was just referring to a minute ago, which is the following. I have no reason to believe, based on my standing here today, that folks didn't do anything other than to adhere to their legal, ethical obligations, given the rules of the road as they are written. Things like maintaining confidence, things like that. I have no reason to believe otherwise. But I would say with equal force, number one, we have an investigation which is unencumbered by any limitation as to figure out what the heck happened. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And secondly, even if they did adhere to what were obligations and legal or ethical or otherwise, we have to question ourselves and change the parameters, which is why we all not only have an investigation underway, but we are also reviewing from top to bottom the rules and procedures that inform those obligations. It can't be that it ends up the way it ended up for Katie. And again, my heart is busted. One more, please. I'm having trouble. I won't get into, I actually don't even know on specific employees, but we as a front office counsel have hired an attorney, and that's the extent of my knowledge in terms of who's hired. I mean, I can't speak to whether or not I believe her, first of all. And secondly, I hope the heck it's not true. It certainly isn't true with me. And I want to say something that has nothing to do with the awful thing that has happened to her in the complete breakdown in processes. She's an outstanding professional. She is where she is for a reason. She contributed toward the very end of our campaign. I think she got involved, if I'm not mistaken, around August of 17. She was involved in our transition committee on housing. She's the chief of staff at the housing agency for a reason. She's really good. So she deserves our respect, not only given the awful ordeal that she has gone through, but she is an outstanding professional. As we get more on this, Michael, only because it's you, I'm going to let you finish up. What I'm saying, Michael, is the following. This is a little bit like having a discussion 3/4 of the way through the test. We've got two very important, an investigation and a top-to-bottom review still to finish, top-to-bottom review of government policies and procedures in the EEO space. So what I said was, as I stand here today, I have no reason to believe that folks did anything other than adhere to whatever legal, ethical obligations, things like confidentiality, that they believe that they were operating under. I have no reason to believe otherwise. But I say two things. One is, I want to see the black and white summary of Peter Veniero's investigation to confirm that. And secondly, if the current policies and procedures in place in state government inform those obligations, even if they were properly adhered to, and the result of which was the awful tragedy and ordeal that Katie Brennan had to go through, then those are the wrong policies and procedures. They've got to be reviewed, and in my humble opinion, in some cases scrapped or completely renovated and brought into the 21st century. Thank you all very much. Thanks for your patience, particularly for splitting this in two, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.